Yeah. Hi. Hello. It's so good to see you.
No, geez.
Miss you. Oh, thanks for hopping on.
Of course.
So I thought it just might be super helpful to dig into what your business looks like right now. I also
Yeah.
want to dig into the habits that you formed during the last downturn to keep going. And then today, there were a lot of deals. We saw a lot of deals on the buyer board, but I think would have probably, I talked to Bobby Curtis after we got done with the meeting, and probably would have been just as important to talk about, not just like how people are getting things in, but like some of the challenges they're facing and how they've overcome them, or how they've adapted.
Mhm.
So first, do you just start talking about like what what your client pool looks like right now, and what's your buyer pipeline look like as you're coming in?
So all of the buyers that we were working with that weren't under contract yet
Mm-hmm.
are still shopping, and some of them have gotten under contract in the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen sellers taking offers a little bit faster,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit less competition,
Yeah.
but not necessarily zero competition.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like a little bit of the buyer pressure has been relieved, and our buyers are appreciating that.
Yeah.
Our buyers are definitely doing their homework as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping that listing agents are putting up floor plans and lots of videos. Some agents still aren't, which I think is interesting, and we're finding that our buyers think that's annoying.
Because they can't
Like,
access the properties like they used to. Yeah.
yeah, yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think that also shows that because we are able to adapt pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
that our clients, our buyers, our sellers are expecting that of us.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily going, wow, I can't believe how quickly you've adapted. They're like, yeah, adapt quick. We got things to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Get a virtual tour on to become an expert in this new virtual way of selling quick, because
Yes.
they have needs that they want to have met. Right.
Yeah, for sure. They're like sitting around their house bored as heck, I guess.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, I say that, I think that's kind of a generalized statement, but I definitely know people who can't go to work right now.
Yeah.
My cousin was the manager of the St. John's pub, McMinimans.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, he had
Yeah.
to let his staff go and himself.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm doing home projects. But I know a lot of my friends are working from home, and they're finding that obviously there's challenges being home with their kids, whatever,
Yeah.
but that their business is chugging along as usual, not as usual, but
Yeah.
they're working every day. They have plenty of work
Yeah. Yeah.
and stable incomes. So there's, all these people who don't have work, and that's very sad, and impactful. And there's also a good chunk of people that still have work and know that we're going to get to the other side, and they're going to still have work.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're entering the market. What is your, like this time of year for you and your team, what is your buyer pipeline look like, and is it different than you anticipated, or what would you normally see this time of year for a buyer pipeline? What are you seeing now?
So we put some pretty good sized goals in front of us
Mm-hmm.
this year, which we
Mm-hmm.
were attacking pretty assertively. So we've been really, really busy.
Yeah.
I had one new buyer call in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it ebbs and flows. Business anyway, you get five
Yeah.
calls a week.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if I don't feel a reduction in new buyer calls,
Yeah.
just because people want to hang out and kind of see what's happening.
Yeah.
I hope that we as a community can spread the message that um, there are, opportunities
Mm-hmm.
despite what's happening.
Yeah.
And that if you have a stable job and you feel confident about that, obviously that's the number one thing, that I mean, it sounds weird to say that's a good time to be shopping, but the bottom line, it's kind of a good time to be shopping.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I
interesting.
don't want to, I feel like weird saying that. Like, take advantage of this super shitty situation.
Yeah,
But the reality is, for some people, they have the means and the ability. There's some advantages.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's not competing against 30 offers is a big advantage for some buyers who need a place to live, and they're trying to solve their own issue. And it is true. Like, we want to keep um, a global vision to what's going on, but when you're talking about someone's individual needs, it's very easy to have that be more in alignment and focus of what they're looking at. Then yes, we're caring about global health, but I need a place to live as I sit and shelter in place. So I get that.
Yeah, and you have a seller who needs to sell, and you have someone here who needs a place to live,
Yeah,
and their stars are aligning right now.
yeah. Your move up buyer is like your kind of bread and butter. I mean, you've been in the business for over 25 years, and you're only 25, so it's amazing. You look 25. No,
I came right out of the birth canal, like
I know.
writing contracts.
No, but so you've been in the business for a while, which means that, like, your clientels have grown up with you in a way. So you have more than almost anyone I know. There's just huge portfolio of people that generally, if they're selling, they've sold with you before, they're moving up, or maybe they're downsizing. And we were talking today about those seem to be the folks that are sitting on the sidelines right now because of their fear that they're gonna find something to buy and then not be able to sell theirs, or get stuck somewhere in the middle of a transaction, or don't want to take risk because they're having to take risk on both ends. How are you counseling your clients right now? Because of course you can't guarantee any outcomes, but what are you seeing in your own client base as far as, like, who's willing to kind of move forward in this market and who's wanting to pull back and sit on the sidelines?
It's interesting because I'm doing a lot of downsizing
Mm-hmm.
activity, and I think, to your point, just the
Yeah.
longevity in the business. People I've helped get into bigger houses, and their kids have flown the nest, and now they're downsizing. Um, you know, One thing that I tell people, just in general, if they say, "Should I sell now? Should I wait a year?"
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people the only thing that you know is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything waiting a year is a total guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just going to use this pandemic as an example. If somebody said in the fall, "Should I wait for spring to sell my house because it's better?"
Yeah, right.
Who would have thought? So you
Yeah,
never know what kind of shit is going to go down or what's going to happen.
yeah,
I think that holds true right now in this very moment. Right
yeah,
now, the data is telling us that houses are selling. Well, we had 17 sales on the board,
yeah, yeah,
last week.
yeah,
Until the data says that houses aren't selling, then we should assume houses are selling.
yeah,
It's probably not necessarily a time, and then again, we rely on the data, where you really go for gold on the price.
yeah.
It's probably not that kind of climate.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as prices are holding and you want to move, and just like 2009, if, let's say, the house that you live in is priced X, maybe it goes down a little. The house you're going to buy is also going to go down, right?
Yeah,
The
right.
scale is going to tip and correct on the other side as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's for each person to know what their goals are and whether they can meet those goals in the current climate. And if they can, great. Then maybe it's a good time. And if they think that they can't, then it's not a good time.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because I remember that from the downturn, is that I always felt people that actually had to buy up or were selling and buying were actually at the advantage, because, like you
Yeah.
said, it's just like the scale. So in one way, being a seller back in 2008 was really tough, or 2009, 2010 was tough. But then you got such advantage on the buy side. It was like it was the clients that just needed to sell and weren't going to buy again, that the timing seemed more critical for. But it's just interesting, thinking about that. One of the on the call today, I thought was very interesting how Steph Noble was saying that like usually you're a couple months into a recession before you figure out you're in a recession, and this one was
Right.
coming. So preparing in that way. What are the things that you're doing as you retool your business plan? Because I know you're big on planning, you're very big on goal setting. Have you reset some of your goals? Have you reset some of your expectations? What have you done to retool? What are the activities that you're focusing on right now with your team?
So I decided not to change my volume goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just a goal. I'm not going to die if I don't meet it.
Yeah.
Though sometimes I think that the world ended right now. I didn't meet my goal. So I'm not going to adjust that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to adjust my activities and some of my expectations. And you and I talked about one of the things I had on there was like, no more interviews.
Yeah.
Just people are just going to call and choose me. So I'm like, you know what? I just want to interview like crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to get out there and talk to as many people as possible. Bottom line is people are going to move. People are going to buy, and people are going to sell. And if that number is fewer, I feel like this sounds kind of cutthroat or something, but I want to be the one of the few realtors they call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I read that article that you sent out about adjusting your business plan, I was like, oh, I'm reading that one because you're right. That's totally in line with what I'm interested in, how I perform my business. But I did not agree with the scaling back your advertising.
Yeah.
I'm going to add advertising.
Yeah.
I'm going to be as visible as possible to my people. And I'm going to think through, and I already have some ideas that we're exploring today in our team call about how can we bring value to our people right now? How can we stay visible? How can we ramp up our marketing in a meaningful way?
Yeah.
Because I know when things were hard, when we had the housing crash, I saw a lot of agents who were like, man, I'm going to get a second job just in case. Or I'm going to pull back my marketing because I got to keep these dollars in my pocket. And even then, I was not having gone through it before.
Yeah.
I thought, well, if all these other people are pulling back, should I be pulling back? Should I be keeping this cash? Like that kind of makes sense. And then ultimately we decided that we were going to like double down.
Yeah. Right.
And we sold so many houses that year.
Yeah.
We're like, we are working and it's going to be hard and we're here for you, but we're working.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of bringing that mentality to this situation. And I feel like, the last, this is going to end. We don't know when.
Yeah.
But it's going to end. And when it ends, we'll get to the other side of it. People will get their jobs back. Some people are going to be damaged for sure, of course. And I don't want to downplay that at all.
Yeah.
But once things get rolling again, anyone who's sitting on the sidelines right now, because I think they need to, I think as a community, we can let them know that they don't have to. Things are moving and real estate is on. We're going to get, I think we're going to get cracking.
Yeah.
Because people are like, okay, it's over. I still have my job. I still have my savings account. Man, I delayed buying my house and now I want it. I delayed my move. Now I want it.
Yeah.
And I just want to be really well positioned in that time to take those calls.
Yeah. I was talking to an agent today and just talking about people reevaluating their just priorities too, and maybe moving will be a part of that, just in as far as like, I want to be closer to family. I want to be closer to friends. I want to be somewhere walkable, or I want to move out of the city. So I think we'll have a lot of, I'm one of those people, I'm guilty of it, solving problems with real estate, solving challenges. Like, oh, I want to change the way that I'm living and interacting with my community. And I do that, through a move. I think we'll see some of that too.
All these people sitting around inside their houses, they're going to either love their house when it's over or hate it. They're looking around, they're like, oh man, this kitchen sucks.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they're on Redfin. Our buyers who are working from home right now are like, man, we are online all day.
Yeah.
Are the new houses coming up?
I don't know if you saw too this morning, Redfin announced they have laid off 40% of their agents this morning.
Oh.
So, yeah, so that's less agent activity, less agents in the market. One, I'm wondering, is there do you have an example or two of challenges that you've faced during a transaction? Have you run into that yet, or are things proceeding and
Yes.
closing pretty well? Okay,
Oh
great.
my gosh.
It's always a challenge, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Luckily, problem solving is my favorite.
yeah,
But getting a permit,
yeah,
super slow.
yeah, yeah,
We had a sewer line that was going in, and we ended up getting our permit at the last minute, but we were all putting a plan in place in case we couldn't get it.
mm,
I have a friend who is a nurse,
yeah,
and you can't send a notary to the hospital to sign her
yeah,
now.
yeah,
So we had to get a power of attorney. We have to do it in advance.
yeah,
I had a situation where we had some contractors go out to look at some plumbing issues. And normally me or someone on the team would be there and say, Mr. Plumber, this is what the inspector said. Take a look at it. And we're there, we're more hands-on. But social distancing. So we get a 1-day code, we send them through. And then he said something kind of different than the inspector.
yeah,
And then it was just calling him and then connecting them. And it was eye-opening to me. I was like, oh, we're gonna have to problem solve this.
yeah,
This isn't working for me, because now we have a lack of clarity, and getting it together to where we're all on the same page was ridiculous.
yeah,
So I'm like, okay, so maybe we FaceTime, maybe we
yeah,
just meet the plumber and we wear a mask.
yeah, yeah.
But that was a direct result of not physically being there. So I was like, okay, so that's something now we have to know and mitigate, basically.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. That gets my problem solving brain going. Just you can't really take that time out in the inspection, but would have been great to just FaceTime with the plumber right there at the inspection, or have the home inspector do a little video for you. Like, can you explain this and point to it, and then so I can send the contractor in, show them your video, or there's going to be a lot of things where we just have to be anticipating all of the communication challenges that may be ahead when it's so hard to get access and communicate. It's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And we weren't at the inspection either.
Yeah, of course.
So like, okay, it's a vacant house. We'll social distance,
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, we should have done hindsight's 2020, like the wrap up over FaceTime.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would help me. It's just little things like that we're going to feel and then adjust and adapt and slay it.
Yeah, and letting our vendors know what we need from them right now. That's like more good communication. Like, hey, when you're done with the inspection, this is just going to be really helpful to minimize your time and mine to get this done. With your plan with the sewer scope, so the city's still coming out and reviewing. They're just short-staffed. What was your plan if they didn't get out there?
We were going to do a holdback.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long of one as would be allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate this. I think this is really helpful. Any other challenges in the market, or any final last words?
My greatest tool was born out of necessity in 2009, and that is just my traffic report. As simple as it is so powerful. And I'm looking at my business and how we're going to adapt and do things. And I'm waiting, and I'm hopeful and excited about what awesome tools are going to come out or be created by all of this problem solving that we all have to do.
Yeah, right.
I mean, some really good tools and things are going to come out of it. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Speaking of tools, just real quickly, you're a Sphere user, and so you really have embraced that CRM and that tool. How have you found that that's been assisting you during this time?
Um, I mean, I think just in the same way it does, because my team and I share that tool.
Hmm.
So for us not having face-to-face meetings, but we can all look at it together,
Yeah.
and we see where we are, we know what our pipeline is, and we can look at all of our transactions in an organized way, and
Mhm.
we're all looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, it's extra helpful now that we're not having in-face meetings as a team.
Yeah. It's kind of just luck of being able to implement some of these things and not realizing just how critical they were going to become once this started. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm seeing that a lot. Like, oh, that was and glad that we have that tool or that resource. Like, because all of a sudden there's some things in our life that just become so relevant. And then I was laughing because I was unloading the dishwasher and I was like, I haven't touched a to-go mug in weeks. Like, who needs a to-go mug? I'm not going anywhere.
totally.
So like my favorite ceramic mugs are very, very useful. And all of a sudden these like I was using, I mean, every day, right? Your coffee and you're ready to go, or my tea.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't had to wash one of those by hand in weeks.
nice. I'm like really overcooking.
Yeah, I know.
I
But
think there's some ways to go, but I'm already totally over it.
I will meet you at Porque No when this is over.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Uh, well, thank you. I saw some of your family in the background, so thanks for allowing for us to take some of your time today and for the conversation. It's really helpful, and I will look forward to talking again
I will see you soon,
soon.
hopefully.